And welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Robyn Zimmerman, just back from Ireland. We're going to talk about that with Steve Gaito, who is a certified financial planner, also the founder of Retirement Resource Management. Yes. So good to see you.
Good to see you. You look great in green.
Thank you. Yeah, just got back last night, and one of the things we're going to start with today is retirement planning for trips and for travel. And do people really budget for that?
No, they don't, and that really creates some challenges down the road. And all of retirement planning is actually just forecasting when you're going to spend money and how.
Right.
And you can travel like you just did if you just plan a little bit ahead. And whether I have some folks that set aside $200 a month, and that's $2,400 a year that they do for their beach trip. I've got folks that budget $150,000 to take the whole family on a trip.
And we were actually on a cruise and went to Northern Ireland, and of course in Ireland we were gone for a couple of weeks, and there I noticed several families where the grandparents are taking the children and their grandchildren, and so they've obviously planned, because that's $100,000 I would think
easily for a lot of these trips that are overseas. It can get into some pretty big numbers. But the neat thing is, and this is what I hear from the clients when they get back, and I love the stories when they get back, is that I would rather spend the money now and watch them enjoy it.
I agree.
Than to take it to my grave.
I agree. You like Guinness?
Oh, well, I like a little bit lighter beer than that, but Guinness is a little thick.
All right, so we had a lot of fun, thanks. So let's just move on to kind of a downer. Legislative risk with our retirement, and I guess the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, and
it was just
so that's kind of makes people nervous.
Yeah, so anytime Congress names something, it usually is the opposite. I really think that this act is going to have little impact on inflation. And there's some good things in it and some bad things, which is true of almost every legislation. If you go into it and dive into the weeds, you're going to see some things that you like prescription drugs and some other targeted pieces that the legislation is always written for. But then there's also some challenges, and I think one of the big challenges, especially for middle America, is going to be all the IRS agents that are in there. They're adding 78,000 or something like that ridiculous number of folks to come out and audit people. And the challenge is that if you submit 10 tax returns to the IRS, you're going to get 10 different opinions. And so I think it's going to be a burden on folks in retirement, and that's what's known as legislative risk. And so anytime Congress or the government does something that impacts your finances, that can have an impact on your retirement.
And we don't know that it's coming. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So we've put a plan together with you, and then all of a sudden the Congress passes something that just messes everything up, changes the rules of the game, and then that gets very confusing and frustrating. That's why it's important to have a planner.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can do is getting things out of your retirement plan that are subject to income tax.
Okay.
And so there's two ways. You can use Roth IRAs, which still is going to have some legislative risk. And then the other planning tool that's used quite frequently is life insurance. And the advantage of life insurance over a Roth is that it's not subject, it never shows up on your tax return because you're borrowing your own money.
All right, so we have about a minute left. Are you planning a trip this year for 2023?
Well, we've got a wedding coming up next year, so I think all of our planning is going to go towards that now.
Yeah,
we get one kid out of school, the last one out of college, and think we're getting a raise, but now we've got a wedding, which we are so happy. We've got a wonderful new girl that's going to be joining our family.
And where's the wedding?
It's going to be in Charleston.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful place to have a wedding.
Oh, I know. And it's going to be in what month?
In June.
In June.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be talking about that throughout the years we prepare for the wedding of your son. What's his name?
Smith.
Smith. That's a neat name.
Yeah.
And so Retirement Resource Management website is?
retirerm.com. And there's a book. If you're thinking about retirement risk and all that stuff, got a couple books on there that are free. Happy to pop them in the mail to you.
Thank you so much. Steve Gaito, good to see you again. It's good to be back.
It is. Good to see you.
And thanks for joining us on Talk of the Town.